Welcome to the screening. Today's screening will be A Quiet Place, Parts 1 and 2. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the screening. I am, of course, your humble and eloquent host, Cooper Cobbs, and joining me today is my good friend, Mr. Tanner Lewis. How you doing, Tanner?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Well, here we are. It's just me and Tanner today. And as I like to say, while Matthew and Isaiah are away, Cooper and Tanner will play. But Matthew and Isaiah are at some camp thing, and me and Tanner were left behind. So
Sky Ranch,
we were like,
Sigma,
hey.
both of them
Yeah.
are pumped. Mostly Matthew. He's been
he's a big Sky Ranch
freaking
guy.
out like for the past week.
But anyway, the last day before they left, Isaiah was texting me because he was watching Raya and the Last Dragon, and he sent me some text like, "Dude, there's an exploding fart bug in here. That's so awesome," or something like that. And so the next day when he left, I posted it on our Patreon page, and that was fun. So
So random.
I don't feel like we did that.
It was just
it was
the most
funny.
random text ever. It just made no sense.
He's gonna come back, and he and Matthew are gonna be like, "What have you guys done?" But no. Anyway, me and Tanner are here, and today we're talking about A Quiet Place. Isn't that right, Tanner? True or false?
True.
So today we're gonna talk about the first movie a little bit, and then we're gonna give our non-spoiler review of A Quiet Place Part 2, which has just come out in theaters. Well, actually, by the time you hear this, it won't be. But and then we'll give a in-depth spoiler review of A Quiet Place Part 2, and also I'm going to spoil A Quiet Place Part 1, but it's been out for several years, so
If you
that's
haven't
on
seen
you.
it,
Okay.
that's your fault.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen it until like a
Yeah.
week ago, so good for you guys if you've already seen it.
But that wasn't your fault, exactly. Anyway.
Thanks
So
to Cooper,
let's go
I've
ahead and
seen it
start
now.
off with some baggage. And this time, Tanner, I think I'm gonna go ahead and do mine first, since I think you have a more interesting baggage.
Yeah,
Alright.
you definitely have more
And then
interesting
which-
baggage on this
No,
one.
as I said, you do. I said you do.
I do?
Yeah. Anyway.
To A Quiet Place?
I'll go ahead and do mine. Yeah. Anyway. So obviously, A Quiet Place Part 1 came out in 2018, and then my parents saw it on Prime Video because it was on Prime for free, and Mom really liked it, and so she essentially spoiled the whole plot to me and my siblings, my sisters, the next morning. But she really loved it and was really excited to show it to me. So probably around a year later, I saw it, and again, off of the trailer for the first one and what I had garnered from the plot, it seemed like it was gonna be like a really scary movie. The trailer did it no favors. They showed all the clips of the monsters, and so it seemed like it was gonna be a really scary movie about this family has to survive when these monsters can hunt by sound and are gonna try and kill them. Anyway, I watch it and I was like, wow, this is really great, and it's not actually that much of a horror movie, which we'll talk about later. And I tried to get everybody else to watch it. Matthew and Isaiah, eventually saw it a little later, and then Tanner just saw it about, what is it, a week ago? Was it this recording?
Yeah, I guess it's been a week ago now.
Yeah. Well, with that, I'll let Tanner go ahead and share his baggage.
Yes,
or ticket check. I don't know.
I don't know. Nobody's really. There's not really a name for it.
Nobody cares.
We haven't decided yet. So I guess my baggage is I've kind of wanted to see this movie for a little while. I'm not a big thriller horror movie person.
Yeah, me neither.
I would much rather watch an action movie where the on the edge of your seat parts are basically the entire movie for this one. But I'd never really pushed to see it, I guess, until I learned that the guys were going to go see part 2 in theaters. And then I pushed for it.
Also, my mom has been trying to get your mom
to
my mom
watch
has been
it.
pushing for your mom to let you watch this, though, for 2 years.
Yep. except my mom never gave in until like a week
Right.
ago.
Right. Yeah.
And
So
me and my
you
dad
saw it a
watched
week
it.
ago. Right.
Yeah, a week ago. And
Eh,
me and my dad talked the entire way through the movie because my dad cannot bear silence when it's in a movie. That
Oh
is,
yeah.
he can stand awkward
That's fine.
silence in like any condition, but he can't stay quiet
He's very good at
in a
Tanner's dad
movie.
is like our tutor for our homeschool co-op, and he's very good at letting awkward silence reign. Right, very good.
Very, very good, but he could not do it in this movie. He just had to point out every single fact and make it. It was really funny, actually. Um,
Yeah.
like he's trying to make me laugh, and he's basically pointing out, "Wait, do you see the problem here? Do you see the problem? She's pregnant," and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just like, seriously, Dad.
But anyway, so you saw it a week ago for the first time. I had been talking it up. Matthew and Isaiah had been talking it up a little less than I had. But what was your first experience with this movie?
um, so we'll put the movie in a nutshell for me. I guess that's kind of it goes to the second one too, but not as much. Um, predictable, very predictable, very well directed,
Hmm.
and overall a good movie, but one that I'll only see once. Like I wouldn't rewatch
Yeah.
it just for fun.
Oh, I rewatched it. Anyway,
You're Cooper
yeah.
Cobbs. You rewatch everything.
No, that's not me. I rewatched just for I wanted to rewatch it before we went to the movie. But anyway,
That
so
makes
you saw it
sense.
a week
You're
ago.
not Isaiah though. Isaiah
Yeah,
rewatches
no,
literally everything and says
that's true.
everything is a rewatch movie.
That's true. That's true. He does, and he says everything is a good movie too. But anyway,
Right after the
anyway.
movie
So
finishes, it's like, oh, they definitely can leave it there. They're not going to make another movie. They're not going to make another movie.
right, right.
I
But I
say
mean, it was a big success for the budget. So anyway, let's go ahead and talk about A Quiet Place Part One real fast. So we can both agree it's not really a horror movie per se.
The way I like to describe it is in a Marvel or Star Wars movie, the on the edge of your seat part, that's basically the entire movie.
Yeah.
Like
So it's
the
more of
on
a
the
thriller, I would
yeah,
describe it.
like the part where you'd be on the edge of your seat in a Marvel or Star Wars movie, that's basically the entire movie for A Quiet Place. And
Right.
so
There's
it's
not that
not
many
really,
jump scares, but you're still on the edge of your seat.
yeah. There were like two
And
for me and two in Matthew, but that'll come later. That'll come later.
yeah. But so essentially, it's not really. It's more of a thriller movie, and instead of how is this family going to, instead of having people really react to the idea of there's this monster that hunts by sound that'll kill you if he hears you. It does play with that, but it's more of what's this how it more focuses on the family, and is like, how can this family survive? How is it going to play with their emotions? How is it going to play with emotions that their brother and their son died, earlier, right? Because well, the daughter blames herself because she gave him the toy and it lit up, and it, you know, made a sound, and the monsters came. So it's really playing with the family and seeing what's their reaction to this, what is their, how are they going to treat this circumstance? How are they going to respond, and how are they going to stay together as a family, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's more of a mental it's more of a mental movie than really like the physical, like what's happening at that moment.
Yeah.
It's all about it's more like an Edgar Allan Poe movie, if you will.
Oh yeah.
It
That's fair enough because
it's like
a lot of the movie obviously
good.
is quiet. It's all suspense. It's all build up.
Like I think that's the perfect way to put it. Like this is a Poe type movie. It's just all mental. It's all not extremely dark, but still dark. There's not a whole lot of talking. It's a lot of mentality based. It's
Right.
it's more focused on what you're thinking and not as much about what you're doing.
Right, but there's really only like two scenes where they're actually talking with words, and the rest are just doing sign language.
Yeah, for the first one, yes.
Anyway, so it's not a horror movie; it's a thriller movie more. But the trailer for this, yeah, definitely did any favors at all. But also another thing, the reason really my mom loved this movie and tried to get your mom to let you see this movie also was the fact that it has a strong family conservative message, right? It's the fact that the father, it really is. And I've looked up interviews with John Krasinski and what he has to say. This movie really is a message like to his kids. Like I've made a promise to you. I am your father, and I won't let anything happen to you so long as I'm alive. So long as I'm alive and fighting, I'm going to protect you, and I'm going to stand up for you no matter, what the odds are.
Yeah, definitely one of those messages. It's very like
Right, and I'm kind of
not
surprised that that
the
message is in
portrayal
a
of
Hollywood movie like
what
this. It
the
kind of reminds
world
me
is
of
saying a
Jurassic
family
Park a
should
little
look like
bit.
right now.
I saw it for the first time maybe 2 months ago, and I was really shocked at the positive, conservative message. Like I said, this guy comes in, he doesn't like kids, and at the end of the movie, he loves kids and all that kind of stuff. And it reminded me of more. It's a modern day Jurassic Park in terms of that message, and I was really surprised that a movie like this would get made in today's environment. But I'm really happy it did, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out and the message from it.
Yes, for sure. I will admit I've still not seen any of the Jurassic Park or Worlds. Could you push for that for me?
Well, Jurassic World, I don't. It's fine, I guess, but I wouldn't really recommend it all that much. But Jurassic Park, I think, is great. I think you should see
Yeah,
it.
I'll
It's a
get
great
on.
movie. I love it.
I'll get on those after I
Maybe we should
finish
get sometime.
Loki.
Anyway, let's move on.
As in, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. All right. So let's move into A Quiet Place Part Two. And like I said, real fast, let's do a non-spoiler review. So do you want to go ahead and give us your non-spoiler review
Yes.
of A Quiet Place Part
This
Two?
this movie isn't really a. It's more horror, more thriller than the first movie. I'll say that in the non-spoiler. It is definitely much
Yeah.
more. It is not much more, but it's enough to. It's enough. It's more extreme.
It's more
It's
extreme.
not
Yeah.
exactly. How would you say it? If you've seen the first one, you can most likely handle the second one. Just don't expect it to be the first one at all.
All right. Yeah, and real fast. Do you think that it's worse? Do you think it's better
There's
than the
definitely
first
more
one?
jump scares, and there's definitely much more on the edge of your seat, but I wouldn't say that it's much more scare. But I would say that it is much better in the fact that the movie kind of carries along a bit faster, and you get to see, like, it's a lot faster, but it's
Yeah, the
not
pacing's
much
a lot
faster.
faster.
I mean, it's still
But would you
better
say?
movie
Did you say
in
it's a
general.
worse movie or a better movie? The first one. Better movie. Okay. Interesting. All right, and we'll, I guess, tackle the question of why you think that in our spoiler segment, you might say. But yeah, I came into this with here. Well, actually, we'll talk about it later. But I came into this just hoping that it was going to have the same message as the first one. I was fairly certain that it was going to have maybe even higher production quality, higher directing style. Anyway, and I came in and I was a little bit disappointed to find that the message of the first one wasn't quite there as strong in the second movie, which is why I think it's a little worse. And the fact that um, I don't know. I mean, how do I say this without not spoiling anything? I was a little disappointed by the ending as well, but other than that, I think it was a good movie. I mean, it was entertaining, like Tanner said. It was a bit more horrorish, more thrillish, more jump scares, more intense scenes, stuff like that. So, yeah, that's my non-spoiler review. And if you care about spoilers, the spoiler wall starts now. So, Tanner,
Okay.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. All right. Why do you think that A Quiet Place 2, or Part 2, is
Okay, so we've
better
got
than the
spoilers
first
on
one?
now. I would say that it is
Right.
better because the characters seem to be. I like the faster pacing. It is definitely not a whole lot more paced and faster because
Right.
me and Matthew were talking right after. We had a lot of time before his mom was able to come pick us up after the theater at the theater. But I would say that the the entire movie can be condensed into about a 30-minute or hour long type thing. But I would, I like
Yeah. I'd say the second one less so than the
uh,
first one. The first one definitely
15
could have
minutes.
been
If,
probably a lot shorter if it needed to be. But I kind of liked, but no. It could have been a 30-minute or to an hour movie, but or short film. But I really liked the fact they took the time in the beginning to kind of slow down, to show all these scenes of just a deserted town, to show all of the just, anyway, all that stuff. So I think it could have been a lot shorter.
yeah,
But
I
anyway, go
think
ahead.
both movies could have been a lot shorter. But I appreciate it's just well directed,
Hmm.
all in all. I definitely second you in the fact that the message was not the conservative message, the biblical message wasn't as strong in this one. It was much more worldly oriented a little bit.
Hmm.
I mean, if you want to go into some BLM,
Well, I
like
would. I'm
it's
not
not that
saying that.
much.
I'm just saying.
It's not.
No,
It's
no, I
not
wasn't
that
saying
much
that.
different. I'll say the message wasn't shifted that much, but with the dad gone, it was shifted a little bit.
No. Right. The first movie was the fact that the dad, like I said earlier, when you're under my care, I'm not gonna let anything happen to you, because that's what dads are supposed to do. That's what parents are supposed to do. I'm gonna do anything for that. But then the second one was more okay. When you're leaving the house, when dad's gone, you have to take ownership. You have to go into the world by yourself, and you have to grow up by yourself. And so that was kind of the thing of the first one was, or second one, sorry, of the kids becoming more take a more prominent role in the movie and
Yeah.
growing up, you might say.
The mom was Emily Blunt. I mean, we don't really hear their names.
Yeah. No, her name's Evelyn, I think. Yeah, you kind of heard the names the first time in
Yeah,
this
and even
movie,
still, they don't call their
and you're
names
like,
a whole
huh?
lot. Um,
But yeah, her name's Emma.
but
No,
the mom, Adeline, whatever. Um, Evelyn. Okay, misheard
Evelyn.
you.
Evelyn.
She's kind of not as big in the role of this movie. I mean, even in the last scene when they're taking down
Right.
when they're each taking
Right.
down their monsters, it's the kids and the mom sitting there like staring, and
Right.
it's
Right.
definitely if they were to
Right.
make a part three, they're all moving in the direction of the kids becoming like ultra superhero type people. Um, I mean, that's what the movie is turning
Yeah.
into.
Oh, real fast. Do we want to do like a? If people don't care about spoilers, do you want to do like a synopsis
Sure,
real
you
quick
go
of the movie?
first.
Okay, so essentially the movie opens with a flashback to day one, and it's what happens on day one. So you see everybody's at a baseball game, then you see like this big comet fly towards the Earth, and then a few minutes later you just see the monsters attacking everybody
Here, I'm
and
gonna hit pause real
killing
quick.
everything in their sight. And then after
That
that we go
part
back
was
to
probably the part that made this movie my favorite out of the two of them. That part was the most interesting to me out of this
yeah.
entire movie, and it was much more interesting than the entire first movie.
So
Like that
I think
specific
this is actually a
portion.
good time. Here, let me finish the synopsis. Don't go. We're kind of going everywhere, but I want to do like your expectations for this movie, what you had, what you wanted to see going into this real fast. So anyway, we go back to right after where right after the first movie, and the girl, the older girl, I don't know what her name is, goes up to the top, and she lights the fire like they do every night, and she sees another fire up on top out of the valley, and so they go to the valley, and the boy steps in like a bear trap, and it's kind of even worse than the nail scene from the last movie, and then they grow and they limp and they find this other dude, and they get inside a vault where they are protected from the monsters, and they meet this guy. Then they hear on the radio a message from people across the sea living on an island. So they're in New York, and there's an island right off the coast, and they're playing across the sea. And so the girl wants to go over there and find them. And so apparently these monsters can't swim. So she goes off on her own, and then the guy follows her, and then essentially stuff happens, but they get across the boat on a boat, but one of the monsters actually grabbed onto the boat, and then we kind of we're kind of intercutting between this and then the people back on the mainland, where Evelyn, the mom, has gone to get more oxygen for the baby, and then the kid is kind of staying around and snooping, and he makes some noise, and the monster's coming, and then at that moment, the older girl is in a studio, and she holds her thing up to the microphone, and it's a blasting noise, and it's on the same radio channel as the song was, and so he's able to like blast the music at the monsters, and they both kill their monsters, and the movie's over. Okay, now that I did that long synopsis, Tanner, what were your expectations? What do you want to see coming into this movie?
I wanted to see a lot more physical development in what was happening like outside. The mental thing in the first one was cool. It's just not a very entertaining or captivating.
So you want to see more development by action, not development by psychology.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's only like 3 monsters in the first one. In this one, they kill like
Yeah,
4 in the first.
They kill one.
Like,
they kill
the first like 5 actual scenes.
2, 3, 4. They kill like 4 in the whole movie. Actually, 5.
And then this one, you actually see the monsters. They don't even flinch from showing them.
Right.
Like, there's no glimpses. Because in the first one, you're like, are we ever going to get to see
like,
these
you've heard the thing.
monsters, like, actually?
The horror movie is always best until you have to see the monster. You've heard that before, right? And it makes sense. But in A Quiet Place, it's not too bad because the monsters are actually well done, I think. And they're scary enough by themselves. And whenever you see one crawling around, you kind of fear for the people. So since it's already revealed, they don't really hold back from showing them.
Yes. Yeah, I expected that. I kind of wanted to see a different aspect of it. They kind of kept the silence.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wanted to see a different aspect of like them finding out another way to kill them, or intensifying it and adding like the fact that there's second like bigger, larger creatures that are like controlling the tiny sound ones. Like, I kind of wanted to see a little bit of that. I expected a little bit of that, but I wasn't like really expecting that.
Mm-hmm.
But that was kind of what I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Like Anson, like a queen ant,
Right.
and all of her colonies. That's what I was looking
for the
for.
purpose of the monsters.
But I didn't see it. Yeah, there wasn't. I'm kind of looking for the fact of why they're there, how they got there, that kind of thing. It's not really like entirely relevant to the movie, but those are the interesting facts that I'm looking for if I'm going to be watching this movie.
Yeah.
If they were to make a part 3, I definitely want to see those. If none of those things are explained or referenced, if they make a part 3, or if they just decide to cut it off at this one, I don't know. But if they make another one and they continue this, I feel like they should make it to the point that we have some explanations for all of this.
Because in the first movie, it's good. You don't...
Because otherwise it doesn't make sense, and I need these... It's okay to not make sense, but I want this movie to make some sort of sense in the fact that they can find some way to fully rectify the situation and how they got there.
Yeah. I mean, I came into this movie knowing that I mean, in my head, like, I didn't know, but pretty sure they weren't going to rectify all the monsters. I had a feeling they're probably gonna do kind of a repeat ending like they did last time, where she just cocks a shotgun, they have their weapon, they're gonna go save the world, and they kind of did that again too. So I came into this movie.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're gonna have to pause while I'm on this thought. The emotional part at the end, when they had all that music playing, the music did not match the blood splattering across both of their
Yeah.
faces. It just made me cringe the entire time.
They really only have like
I'm
one.
like, just plug
They
my
only have
ears.
one soundtrack for this movie. It's kind of like the twinkling.
Yeah, but
Anyway, where was I?
it got on my
Yeah.
nerves.
So Max, no,
Yeah,
you're good.
sorry, I just had to say
Expectations.
that.
I kind of, at some point, I was like, I need to know why they're here. The first movie, I thought it was great. We don't know why they're here. We just know they're here. But in the flashback, give us at least some reason, some purpose. I don't know. I don't know how you make it happen, but like you can make it happen. Just give us something of why they're here, how they came, kind of like I don't need a lot. I just need a simple reason as to why they're here, why they're killing without mercy. That's all. That's all I request, and they didn't do that. So I was a little disappointed in that.
Yeah, definitely. And they didn't even give full reason for why the monsters, like how the monsters got out of their little like egg thing.
Yeah, it looked like just a comet
flaming ball of fire.
hitting the ground.
And then, but like it was so fast that
Right.
it was just weird.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense. It didn't match a whole lot. And I really want everything to flow, and I want to see the before, how we got here, like all the way how we got here, not what happened like a little while ago in the story. I want to see how we even got there, and I want to see how you're going to rectify everything. But so far, we have not gotten there, and we've had like 2 hour-and-a-half movies.
Yeah. I don't really think the reason, my main reason that this movie isn't as good is it essentially the ending is a repeat ending, right? I mean, it's the same ending. The monster's coming. Looks like all hope is lost, and they use the little high frequency thing to kill the monsters, right? And you're kind of like, And my prediction was that one of either Evelyn, the mom, Emily, as played by Emily Blunt, or the new guy was gonna like sacrifice themselves, and that didn't happen. Which I'm glad because afterwards it was like, idiot, that would have been even more of a repeat ending. But anyway, yeah, no repeat ending. I mean, kind of a repeat ending. So I was kind of disappointed by that, but also because it didn't have as strong of a, I guess, just emotional core or message core like the last one did. The last one was, I guess, we've said all this whole episode, all centered around the dad protecting his family. And again, it's pretty obvious the message was the kids are growing up, the kids are doing their own thing, but it just lacked the substance, the heart of the old movie or the other movie. But
Yeah, it's kind of a thriller coming of age type thing.
Right. And it just didn't work as well. I still enjoyed it. It was entertaining. But anyway, so Rofest, I was talking to my uncle, and I want your thoughts on these two things. So first off, we were talking how in the last movie, in the opening scene, where they're going to the drugstore, they see all these papers around, like angels of death, or it's sound, get underground. These kind of newspapers that are just floating around in the town, right? So you get the idea that it's kind of gradual. The fact that they got here and it took some time to kill pretty much everybody. But in this movie, you get the sense that actually day one everybody's dead. So how do the newspapers get there, right? And so me and Uncle were saying we like the idea of how it could have been more gradual, of how people could have seen this coming. They sent newspapers, everybody got prepared, and still the monsters came. So I wanted your thoughts. Do you think that's a plot hole? Do you think they intend to do that? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. That seems like major plot hole to me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm flipping through like every image in my head, like, and trying to get all of those into to fit. I didn't notice that before, but that just seems major plot hole. Not thought through, not seen.
Yeah. And then the second one was at the end of the first movie. We see after the shotgun goes off and kills the first one.
And then
we see the two
the
run.
like the three running towards them.
The two run.
And then there's
the two are
like
running.
nothing in the beginning about that.
Right, exactly.
That was like my big thing. Like in the theaters, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, people, you've ruined it.
Yeah.
You missed the mark.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the big thing that everybody's coming back to this movie to watch because you left them on that cliffhanger. And you haven't done anything with that. Like, that's the type of stuff that it's very easy to see. And, like, it wouldn't have been that hard to knock him out either, like, to do it. That if he didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on that.
I thought they would just open and you'd see the two others dead or something like that.
Yeah.
And you would move on.
And, like, after a few minutes had already passed, like, in the blank spot. But, like, nothing.
Right, so then they kill... So they kill the first one in the second movie. Then they go.
No, instead they just walk up the stairs at the first part.
Right, they walk up. Right, then they go to the train yard and they kill that one. And then they kill the third one when the girl is gone and then she's about to get killed. Then the guy shoots it. But anyway, yeah, I was kind of disappointed by that too. All right, well, any final thoughts on any of these movies?
They were good movies, but I'd watch the second one again. If I was going to watch another one of these, I'd watch the second one again just because it was more entertaining than the first one. Moral and like the meaning wasn't there as much, but I mean, it was still very entertaining. So that would probably be the only one I'd watch. But even still, I'd much rather pick up and watch like a Marvel thing if I was bored. But then again, I've seen like every Marvel movie like 8 times, so I need to find other things to watch.
Yeah, same here. I think the first one was better. I enjoyed them both. You're right. The second one's more entertaining. I'd probably go back to that one again more often than the first one, but I still enjoyed both of them. And then let's go ahead and rate them. So Tanner, how many sound hunting monsters out of 10 do you give A Quiet Place Part 1? And then do part 2 separately.
I'll give part 1 a 7. I mean, entertaining, could have been condensed more, took a lot of time. Overall, there's like a few plot holes when you're looking at the second one. And then...
It's more fault the second one, though.
Yeah, but that's more for the second one. But, yeah. Number 2, I'd probably give... I don't know, an 8. The beginning of the second one just brings the average of the second part up much higher.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'll go ahead and give the first one 8, and I'll give the second one 6.5. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I think. All right. And would you recommend both of these movies?
Yes, I would. They would not be on like a high thing. These are the reason I'd watch a thriller or a horror movie is I'd want to watch it with other people just to see when they jump.
Yeah, it's fun to watch horror movies with somebody else. Yeah, I would recommend these. And real fast, let's do some donor shoutouts.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to say the person, and then Tanner, you're going to be quiet because if you say their names, the monster is going to come get you. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. and Mrs. Ryatsky. Mr. Killingsworth. And, of course, Nolan the Pony. So, with that, make sure you leave us... Oh, Tanner. Gosh. Where would one go to get a donor shout-out?
They would go to www.patreon.com/booking it. No, screening. The screening. We are on the screening. You never ask me on the screening. You only ask me on booking it.
I know.
The screening, and you would donate to any of our $5 or up tiers.
That's right. And if you can't donate for whatever reason, perfectly fine. Go ahead and leave a 5-star rating and review down below in whatever podcasting app you use. And hey Tanner, I guess you have to do it this time. Until next time.
This has been The Screen.